And if I haven't said this already, and I think I have, I like this car. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is the Mustang Mach-E GT. Now, this Mach-E GT was one of the very first Mach-E GTs that was ever produced. And this here was owned by the Kings Ford dealership here in Mason, Ohio. And while we're talking about them, I would like to thank them for allowing me to film this video with this car. Now let's talk about this Mach-E GT. This one came out in 2021, so this is 2 years old now. And as per the window sticker, this has 23,000 miles on it. Because this is used, the dealership is asking for $65,000. MSRP when it came out was $73,000. Now here, this one, because it's used, it is not qualified for any federal tax credit. That is probably something you should know. So without further ado, let's take a detailed tour of this Mach-E GT. Alright guys, so let's talk about this front end here. Now let's just forget that this is called a Mustang, because Ford, when they named it Mustang, everyone was in up in arms, and this is a controversial name for this thing. So let's just forget it's a Mustang. Let's just think of this as an electric vehicle, the Ford EV1 for example. So just looking at it from that perspective, I really like how it looks. I think it's very stylish. Now I really like this color. This is actually called Cyber Orange Metallic, if you didn't know. Very interesting name. But this color is obviously only available in the GT model. But I think it looks pretty good, honestly. This yellow is pretty fire. Now let's start pointing out everything that you have up here. So this is your fully LED headlight module. You have your daytime running lights. Right above it is your turn signal LEDs. Under that you have your low beams and high beams. They're also separated by some vertical LEDs. And up here at the front, you don't actually have a grille because this is an electric vehicle. It doesn't need a grille. But this Mustang logo is actually illuminated. I did not think that was the case, but that is really cool. Right above it is your camera for the front view. This car does have a 360 camera view, which we'll talk about when we get inside. The front end also has these button-style ultrasonic parking sensors. Shows you how far you are from an object. If you're about to hit one, it'll alert you. And then down here on either side, you have an air pass-through, which is actually functional. It lets the air around the car, so that's very good. And at the very bottom at the front here, you have a black splitter, which actually contrasts really well with the yellow color of this car. And if I haven't said this already, and I think I have, I like this car. Alright guys, so this is where I normally talk about what's under the hood, but obviously this is not a gasoline engine, so this is a frunk. You get a lot of storage space here. Now before we talk about the storage space, let's talk about the range and the power that this car has. So the range on a full 100% charge would be 270 miles, and obviously this is a performance vehicle, so it's got dual motors, one in the front, one in the back. The total output is about 480 horsepower and 630 pound-feet of torque combined, which gets you from 0 to 60 in about 3.2 seconds. Now this car is used, but it's still under warranty. So it comes with a 3-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, so that's still there. And then it also comes with an 8-year or 100,000 mile battery and its components, as well as the engine warranty as well. Okay, so now that's out of the way. Let's talk about what's under here. Obviously, there's a lot of space in here, and because of that, you're legally required to give a release hatch. So if you stow somebody in here somehow, and if they can figure out how to get out, they can press that button and open up the trunk and get out. Above that, there's also an LED light, and inside of this frunk, actually, there's a little drainage area here, and I think that's for if you want to use this as an ice box, so you put ice in here and put your drinks in here and keep them cold. I think some Ford vehicles come with that, so I think that's what it is. And then here, to the right of the front, you have the windshield washer fluid. And then one last interesting thing is if you look up here under the hood, you have a Mustang logo inside. Now that's a very cool detail. All right guys, let's talk about the side profile of this vehicle. Obviously this is a crossover, so you can see the shape. And I've already mentioned that I love this color. It looks really good on this one. Up here in the front, to the left, here's your charging port. You can open this up with the screen inside. Here's your Mach-E logo down here. And by now everyone knows how the door works, but let me just go ahead and show you. So here, when you come up here, you press this button. As long as you have the key, it pushes the door open, and then you open it up the rest of the way. Now that's pretty cool. On the rear door, you can do the same thing. You can press this button, it opens up a little bit, and then you put your hand in and you open it up the rest of the way. Now supposedly that's supposed to help you minimize the drag on this vehicle. I don't know exactly how impactful that is, but that's certainly interesting. Now, one thing that's different about this Mach-E GT from the one that you get from the factory are these tires. So I've already said the dealership owned this vehicle for 2 years and somebody drove it, right? And because this is Ohio, there's winters here. The tires that come on this car, Pirelli P0s, are not really good for winters. So they switched the tires out for these Firestone all-weather tires. Now this is a huge 20-inch wheel. Obviously, it's going to be great for the sport feel and the performance of this vehicle. It also has huge rotors with Brembo brakes that are actually red color. I wish they were yellow on this one because it would kind of match, but they are red, so that's what you got here. All right, next up, let's talk about the back end here. One thing I really like about Ford is you don't need to reinvent the wheel everywhere. Where a button does the job easily, like this, you don't really need to go into the screen and open it. Though you can, you don't need to. This is a good option. Now, as you can see, this thing opens up quite high. So if you want to modify the height of this, all you got to do is just pull it down to where you want and then just close it. And the next time it opens up, it remembers where it was before it closed. That is the easiest way of doing it that I've ever seen. Now, this Mach-E actually has this cargo floor protection mat, which is actually pretty durable. And then here's your actual cargo floor, which you lift up, and then there's additional space down here. In this case, there are actually floor mats down here, as well as your flat repair kit. And this is your charging cables. And then you also have the couple anchors here if you want to tie stuff down. And up here, you have this screen that actually doesn't let people see what's inside of the trunk. That's actually very useful, more than you would think. If you don't want to use this, you simply lift it up, pull it down, and then these strings here, you pull them out. Unfortunately, I can't do that with one hand, so I can't show you guys, but you just pull them out easily, and then you can either put this in your garage or wherever you want. Now, as per our usual promise, let me get inside and show you how big this is. Here you go. As you can see, this comes to right at the back of my neck, and obviously this is a crossover. It's not a full-size SUV, so that's what you're gonna get here. Here to the left, you have a 12-volt cigarette lighter style power outlet, and then a couple of LEDs over here on the left with a small Mustang logo in the middle. That's nice. And then a couple of grocery bag hooks on either side. And that is pretty much it. There's not a lot going on back here. Let's move on. Alright guys, let's talk about the interior here. This is a really nice suede leather material here. This and that is actually soft leather, which is very nice. 3-person memory seats, that gets a thumbs up. Here's your mirror controls and then a window controls. All windows are one touch up and down. And this you pull back to open up the door from the inside. Here is your cup holder, very small actually, not that big. And here's actually a hidden storage in there if you put something in there. Might be hard to get out, but very hidden. And this car does have the upgraded 10-speaker Bang & Olufsen system. That's what's here. Let's talk about these front seat here, guys. This is the driver's seat, and those are not actual lights inside of the seat, even though that looks really cool. Those are not lights. That's just the white material inside of the seat. These are 8-way adjustable seats, so can go forward, back, up, down. Backrest can move forward and back, and then there's a lumbar support here, which cannot go up and down, but it can come out and go back in. Just wanted to quickly mention that the front passenger seat is actually also electronically adjusting. As you can see, that includes the lumbar support. That is very nice. Here is your view from inside of the Mach-E. And while we're here, I wanted to mention these are some of the smallest mirrors I've ever seen in a car. It's pretty weird. All right, let's start up the car. There we go. These lights that you see, these are actually the sensors. So the Blue Cruise system actually monitors your eyes, make sure you're looking at the road, and alerts you if you're not when you're doing the hands-free driving. That is really nice. More electric cars should always have that. And then look at this, buttons. Who would have thought in an electric car, huh? This is really good. This is your headlight system. This is your front defogger. This adjusts the brightness for the driver screen. And this is your traction control off button. Here is your Ford's Blue Cruise system controls, and then media controls on the right here. And behind that is your wiper controls. All right, guys, so let's talk about this center screen here. This is really good. Honestly, it is one of the most responsive screens that are out there, even compared to Tesla. So I think this is really good. Honestly, you guys have seen many videos about this screen, so I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I will tell you it is very responsive, it is very good. And I love the fact that there's a physical knob here for your volume as well as your fan controls. It depends on what you're doing, so this changes function. So if you just want to change your volume, you turn it up or down. If you're trying to change your fan settings, this turns into your fan setting, which is really nice. So if you put the car in reverse, guys, you get this 360-degree camera view like this one at the top. You can zoom in on either space you like. You can go forward, you can go back, you can zoom in over here if you want. This is very customizable. Down here you have your guidelines as well, so if you're reversing, it'll show you the guidelines where you're going to be end up. This button up here changes your view here, so you can see your sides as well as the rear view camera in the middle as well. And this one shows you if you're close to any objects around the car using the ultrasonic sensors that are all around. And as you can see, there is these 3 drive modes: whisper, engage, and unbridled. Very cool. And if you want to open the charge port, you would normally press this button under the control screen. You do have the frunk opener here and the trunk opener right there, alongside with the button that's actually in the back to open the trunk. You also have the one pedal drive configuration here, so you can lift off the accelerator pedal and then it will come to a stop on its own using the regenerative braking. You can also turn on the propulsion sound, which would actually pump in the sound from the speaker system here, which I would probably turn that off, honestly. This is an EV, why would you want to simulate its sound? And under the vehicle settings, there are absolutely tons of settings here. I won't be able to get through this all night if I tried to explain to you guys what this is. So as you can see, there's that, and then there's another general settings here. There's so many things. This car also gets software updates. One of the things you have to be careful with an EV is this is a technology product. Think about your phone. If your phone lasts you only 3 years with a current processor and then it starts to slow down, well, this is the same thing here. This will slow down eventually over time. Maybe not as fast, but certainly will slow down and you'll feel the difference. And up here you have a full panoramic sunroof. This is actually heavily tinted, so it won't let a lot of light in here, which is good for those hot summer days. Down here below the screen, you have a USB-C and a USB-A charger, as well as this is your wireless charging pad. There you can see. And then this is not. This is just a normal pad here. Then 2 cup holders. Here is your drive selector. You just put your foot on the brake and then turn it to the right or left. This is your parking assistant button. Great to see your hazards are still a button. And then your parking brake. You pull to engage and push to disengage. Let's talk about the center console here, guys. When I lift that up, well, this is weird. There's no center console. That was just an armrest. Well, look at this. Looking inside of the center console, this is your 12-volt cigarette lighter style power outlet. And then that's about it. This is not that big. This is probably 4 inches by 4 inches all the way around. So not that huge. Let's move on. Here is your passenger side door panel we have already talked about. And then let's look down here. This is your glove box. This is a fairly small glove box, though you only want your insurance, registration, and your manual in here. And it'll probably do. And I don't know if you guys can see here, but this car has some very subtle ambient lighting in here. You can see there's a red light over there, there's a red light down there, and then there's a red light in the driver's footwell as well as down here as well. Alright guys, getting into the back seat here, you have the same premium door panel materials, a small tweeter here, and then a big speaker right there, as well as the same door opening function there. And these seats are actually very cool. So if you look at it from a top angle, it looks like there's white lights in there. But if you look at it from this angle, it looks like they disappear. That's pretty cool. And when you go inside, here's your climate controls, and then you have a USB-C and USB-A ports down there. Pretty simple back here. All right, guys, so here we are in the back seat of the Mach-E. That seat I've just set for me. I'm a 6-foot person. Plenty of space here for me. There's a cutout actually here, which is really good. So even a person bigger than me wouldn't have an issue. Unfortunately, there is no seat back pockets here, but my feet do go under the seat in front, which is really good for an electric cart platform. And then there's a flat floor, so the middle passenger wouldn't have an issue sitting here. If you don't have a middle passenger, there's 2 cup holders here. Nothing special here. And then you have reading lights up here, which you can turn on manually. There's a button right there. And those are actually on because of the door is open right now, but they do automatically turn on and off. And this huge panoramic sunroof is actually really cool. I think these kind of sunroofs are really cool, but I still want to have an option to be able to close the sunshade because summers are getting really hot and I just don't trust the fact that, you know, even though it blocks out 99% of the UV light, it still gets pretty hot in here, especially with the black interior like this. So a lot of EV manufacturers are doing this, but I would say you still want to have an option to be able to close the sunshade up here. But you don't have that here, and you don't get that in pretty much any EVs. Now these seats do not recline, so this is the angle that you're going to have to sit at, but the feet do go in under the seat in the front, so it does help you with the thigh support. That's really good. Now as for the child seats, you can fit 3 child seats back here. There are 3 anchors behind the seat, so you can fit them in here. But the latch anchors are only on the either side seats, not in the middle seat. So that's something to think about if you wanted to fit 3 car seats with the latch anchors in here. Now if you want to pull these seats down, if you want to carry something huge, there's a button up here. You press and then you put the seat forward like this, and then there you go. Now you can have a lot more space in here. So I don't think you'll be able to carry one of those big plywoods here, but this is a lot of space. Obviously this is a crossover. Again, it's not very tall, so there's a limited space in here, but it's quite a lot because this is an EV platform. All right, that's it. One thing I almost forgot to mention, guys, is the 2023 model year is actually one of the last model year where you can do this with the key in your pocket and the tailgate automatically opens up. This is no longer offered in the 2023 model years. This is the key that you get with a Mach-E. As you can see, unlock lock is right there. You can press it twice to open the tailgate. Here's your panic button, and then using this, if you press it, a key comes out like so, and you can use this key to actually lock your glove box. Alright guys, so that was the Mustang Mach-E. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you made it this far, salute you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.